Now, at first I thought that my game was bugged and that my client was broken when I saw this hangar screen, but they actually changed the Supercapital ship main menu, I guess, and this is how it looks. Now, I can't rotate the screen or anything. Let me actually... Where is my mouse? Where is my mouse? There it is. Now, where is my USB connector? There it is. Just so that I show you that you can't really rotate the screen in the station right now. Alright, so mouse plugged in, and yeah, it doesn't move. Not really sure what's happening there, but could be a bug, could be how they intended this to work. But this is the new hangar screen for the Supercapitals, and you can go and leave the ship, and when you do that, let's see, it will go back to the normal hangar screen, which is very nice actually. Didn't see this one coming, and I have no idea when they added this. Let's see what happens if you go in a freighter. Will it be normal screen or the new hangar screen? Normal screen. Okay, fair enough. And let's go to the Supercapital now. And it will give you the new screen. Okay. Alright, that's just something that I wanted to show you on the start of this video. Something quite new and quite interesting. So, today I'll be running one of the new capital test sites, basically Supercapital test sites where you can obtain debris to get these ships, and the place where you can get some of the modules and stuff like that. Now, this ship today will be built a bit differently. In the high slots I have the defense disruption burst. Now you can actually use the same thing on all of the capitals, but you will not get the main bonus that the Nyx has. The Nyx has a bonus on this module, so you can use this module on any super capital, and it will work, but it's not going to have the same stats, the same effect as on the Nyx. And I did add one radar disruption burst because this is a Gurista. This is going to be a Gurista test site, so I'm going to be using this to reduce their performance of their turrets. And in the medium slots, I'll be using the same equipment that I usually do. The command burst useful, the skirmish is also useful, and the swarm Supercarrier core module very useful as well, and a web just in case. Although instead of the web, you can basically use any other module that you like. Now I will be using the heavy fighters, and I'll be also flying a Hell alongside with the Nyx, so that I can destroy the smaller targets faster, because the heavy fighters are primarily to be used against the big ships like battleships and capitals, and the light ones are going to be very useful to be used against the smaller targets. And it's going to be also a stress test for the Wyvern. It will be built to be a tank. This is basically the build that I have at the moment. Only one Imperial Navy fire control array, because the other Supercapital will be used to shoot smaller things, so this thing will be primarily used to shoot the big ones down, while the Hell will be used to blow up the smaller ones. And the Hell will be used with a DPS build. And the rigs, you've probably seen these rigs before. Integrations for maximum possible resistance, and of course some shield bonus there, here and there. 71, 82, 71 and 84% resistance on the shield, 5.6 million hit points. Let me quickly undock just to show you the active stat. This is basically the build that I'll be running in this capital test site. It will be fun. It's going to be very interesting to see how something like this will perform inside of that. And I'll be using the drone bombing plant, of course, because that one seems to be working really well. Alright, so I have the adaptives on and 62 million hit points, 94, 90 and 95% resistance. Also there is this command burst module that increases the shield volume a little bit, and the stats also are increased a little bit. So 91, 94, 91 and 95% resistance. Usually I would run a yellow instead of the Imperial Navy Fighter Caldari, but you know, I just wanted to give this ship a bit more DPS, and well, one yellow can help a lot. Definitely, you can use the full tank build if you like, but I added this one damage control array just, you know, to make things a bit different, and that's basically how I planned to run this site. Now let me see if this site is still there. Yeah, there it is. Capital test range. This is a Gurista pirate capital test range, one of the new anomalies, and it will be interesting to see how the tank on this will perform. In those anomalies you can actually find them like randomly in space. I found a lot of them while exploring, so you can encounter them in low sec, you can encounter them in basically
docking request
in null
accepted.
sec, and they can give you some pretty nice stuff. Alright, well, that was a long intro, my apologies for that. And well, with that being said, it will be time to jump in. Okay, warping towards the capital test range. Now, this is something that the capital test range isn't something that you should do solo. This is something that you should never do with two ships like I'm about to do. You should do these test sites with a big fleet, including logistic ships and a bunch of other capitals, because the test site is quite dangerous, and I have doubts that my ships can tank that. So it's going to be a pretty, I would say, a pretty valid tank test, a pretty valid stress test to see how much damage can these things actually take. I think that's going to be very fun to find out, because at the moment on the, well, over here I don't have a lot of other different options to actually test out how much damage these ships can take. So in the next video you will see the Hell's point of view. The Hell definitely had a more of a, let's say, rough time throughout this testing site. Now, the main difference between the Wyvern here and the Hell is the fact that the Hell is built for DPS and it's using mostly the light fighters, while the Wyvern here is built for maximum tank. So this basically gives me a chance to see how both variations of the builds work in the capital test range. Now I know it's different ships, but I also plan to do the tank Hell and the DPS Wyvern combination to see how that goes. Although the Hell has by default a lot more DPS. It has a better bonus on DPS, while the Wyvern has a better bonus on tank. So in the grand scale, both ships are actually different, but they are also, I actually do like that they're unique and different, because it means that they can be used for different purposes. Although here I'm trying to keep the aggro on the Wyvern, because the Wyvern is built to tank damage, while the Hell shouldn't take a lot of damage because it doesn't have a lot of tank. So well, I'm not that confident in the Hell's tank. I know that the Wyvern can withstand a lot of DPS. Now, also very important to mention that both of these ships have fantastic passive shield regeneration. So the peak recharge is at about around 25-30%. That's where the shield is boosted at its maximum, and that's where the real fun begins. The Hell actually did drop that low throughout the whole fight, which is again to be expected, but I was impressed by how much it could, how much shield it could recover, even with the low tank that it has. You will see that in another time through the health perspective. I think I'll upload that tomorrow. In any case, this is basically what you can expect from the capital test site anomaly here. Now I'll just quickly turn on the temperature monitor because the test site is quite graphically intensive, especially when you have a lot of things happening at once, a lot of ships, a lot of objects, and we'll also give you an example of what you can expect with your own device, although my device is a pretty fast one, and it still does heat up quite nicely. You will see the frames drop, that's when the throttling kicks in, but at the same time I'm also recording in 4K, so that also does take up a lot of resources. But in your case, if you don't record, then the game will definitely run much smoother. But the capital test site does demand a lot of hardware performance if you want to maintain a stable frame rate at a high graphics option. Although I have to say, I do like how everything looks at the moment. Now on my tablets, basically in the health perspective, you will see that the performance mode kicked in. Basically, it would remove the visual effects of the gates and ships. So the performance mode does work really well. That's what I noticed, because my tablet is actually a bit slower than my phone. The GPU on the tablet is a bit slower, but you know, it to be expected. Also, high resolution display also takes a lot of resources while running the game. However, so far it doesn't seem to be that bad. Now my idea to keep the aggro on the Wyvern seems to be working quite well, I would say. Although the way how I try to keep aggro on the Wyvern is by being the closest. These pirate ships focus the closest ship to them. So if the Wyvern is the closest, they shoot at the Wyvern. If the Hell is closer, then they shoot at the Hell. And of course they move, they orbit, so their positions are constantly being changed. So you should make sure that if you have a last tanky ship on the grid, that the last tanky ship is far away from the main group of enemies. You don't want to be caught by all of these nasty fighters. Now the most annoying part about these capital test sites are the fighters. You don't really have to shoot them, but they might become a problem when there is 100 fighters on the grid. Basically, if you kill the fighters, but if you ignore the carriers, they will just keep on spawning more fighters out. So if you keep killing them, more of them will keep coming out. That's what I noticed, so I just decided to go and kill the carriers first, and then on the Hell I'll be focusing on the fighters, while the Wyvern will be focused on the ships. But you don't necessarily have to do that. You can easily just focus both Supercapitals on the target and leave the fighters, because you don't have to kill the fighters in order to proceed to the next room. Although fighters will shoot you even after their mothership is destroyed. So yeah, that is one very annoying part about these fighters. And the other annoying part about them is that they will swarm your ship. There's so many fighters out there. Just look at this. Just look at how many fighters there are, and some of them are shooting at the Hell, although the Hell is keeping it really good. I actually forgot to add the Hell in the overview there. My apologies for that. I totally forgot to do that. I was kind of rushing to record this because I was running a little bit out of time. I don't want to say how much time it took me to record this. It's not going to be a 5-hour long video. Don't worry. It's not going to be that long. Although if you are in my position here, it would take a long time to complete this solo with an alt. So this is why I'm also recommended to go with a big fleet. You really need a big fleet for this, a corporation alliance fleet, because it is quite challenging and quite demanding, and you really need good coordination to do well here. And here you can take a look at the Wyvern stats again, basically the same stats I showed you back when I undocked. And so far, I mean, the tank on this monster is holding really well. Again, because of my build and the modules and rigs that I use, this thing can withstand this DPS easily. So it's not going to be, you know, that bad. But in the later rooms, things are getting they can be even nastier. So we will see what I'm talking about when I jump in the next room here. The next room is where the real fun begins. Now you have 4 waves in the first room here, and the last wave will have a Supercapital. Now I don't know how much I cut the recordings that I assembled here, and I'm not really sure if I will show the first capital here, because again the whole thing was so long. I had to cut a lot of things out in order to fit, in order to make this video. I didn't want to make like the whole thing be 5 hours long. It would be very long. So I'm not really sure what I cut and what I didn't cut. But in the next room, near the end, well, in the second half of the video, there's going to be a very nasty fight that I had with the Gurista Wyvern. That thing is insane how tanky it is. Oh, I might be saying it's insane how tanky it is because I'm only 1 ship, while you should do this in a big fleet. In a fleet with multiple dreadnoughts, carriers, and supercarriers, it is going to be much easier to complete this. So you don't have to worry about that. If you are playing in a team, it's going to be much easier to complete this. Now the vast majority of the aggro here is on the Wyvern, and
we're under attack.
I usually don't fit a propulsion module, but the distance between the gates is about 100 kilometers, so you definitely want to be speedy. And I can see that the micro warbreath or afterburner might be used on these ships to travel from gate to gate, because 99 meters per second is the velocity of the Wyvern, 141 meters per second is the velocity on the Hell. The Hell actually isn't that bad. The Hell doesn't feel that slow, but the Wyvern definitely feels like it's a floating brick. And well, I mean the Hell is a rusty Mimitar ship, and the rust is actually used as weight reduction, so it's not a big problem. But on the Wyvern, where it's not rusty, yeah, it might be you know, weird to fly this thing 100 kilometers without a propulsion module. So I can see that if you want to move faster, a afterburner or micro warbreath definitely the way to go here. But I might be wrong at the same time, depending on what type of fleet you have.
Fleet collecting fire.
And so far, it's actually going pretty well. I'm not going to complain about the clear speed here. After all, only 2 ships doing this, and one of them is full tank. "63 ships at the moment. Most of them are fighters, and every fighter squad has about 6 fighters. The Supercapital will have 12 of them, so technically I'm being shot by 200-300 ships right now. Well, the whole DPS is being shared between the 2 ships. The Hell has less aggro, while the Wyvern has more of it. So that's also one thing to keep in mind. The carrier cover module, the Supercarrier cover module, is extremely useful. Now, speaking of the cover module, the high slot special modules for these ships eat a lot of fuel, and when you go and run these sites, make sure that you have enough fuel for the whole thing. You do not want to be caught without fuel, because the carrier recover module does help a lot with tank. It does supply your ship with shields, it does supply your ship with armor, and it does supply your ship with capacitor. Now, shield and armor, very useful, again, very important and useful, but capacitor is also extremely useful, especially if you have an active tank. The cover module can easily replace 2 or 3 capacitor batteries. I usually run 1 capacitor battery, and that capacitor battery is literally just emergency power base. If I run out of fuel, then I know I have the capacitor battery that can work. You know, it does work for 30 seconds until the effect runs out, but the ship has so much hit points and so much shield and armor that you can afford to use the battery basically at once every 2 minutes, basically. So 1 battery with the cover module active is more than enough. You can literally focus on the tank or DPS of the ship if you have the cover module. So that's why I have the cover module. And if you are realizing that you're running out of fuel, then stop using, just avoid using the high slot module, because they eat a lot of cycles of the cover module, and the cover module is, I would say, more important than those special high slot modules that you can use, because the cover module is literally going to keep your ship alive for a very, very long time. You can keep your ship alive even to such an extent that you can basically wait for a fleet to come to save your ship. But if you don't want that to happen, make sure that you have a full fuel bay of plasmoids. Basically, plasmoids are one of the main sources of fuel in the game. Now, I used heavy water because I wasn't able to get plasmoids to work on the test server for some reason, so I just went with heavy water, and I refueled the ship before going out so that it has enough fuel for the journey. And you should always make sure that you have a fuel bay, and before you undock, you refuel the ship to the maximum and then refuel the fuel bay so that you have backup fuel. You can have enough fuel for these ships because they eat a lot of it. And the modules, most of the, I would say, key modules on the Supercarriers require a load amount of fuel. And if you run out of fuel, you will lose a vast, you lose a lot of functionality on the ship. You lose tank, you lose DPS, you lose all the benefits that come with those skirmish command burst modules. Which brings me to one of the later moments in this video. So 90 cycles on the current module and 10 cycles on the actually 5, technically 5 cycles, because I have 2 of them, and if I keep using them at the same time, both will last for about 5 cycles. And here I am using the capacitor battery, basically switching them up and down, turning them on and off when required. I think this is the second room, does definitely look like the second room, and I floated towards the next gate. Now, the second room has 5 waves. The 5th wave is absolutely insane. It has 200 ships, I think. I mean, you will see that in this video. It has a lot of ships. And they have a very, very, very tanky Supercapital. I mean, I say very tanky because I am alone, but it is very tanky. And this is definitely not something that you want to do solo with a Supercapital, because it's not going to end well. This is just me giving an example of how it looks, and do not do this all. Just gather a whole fleet, and if you fleet with logistics, with guardians, then it's going to be much easier. But I want to do a ultimate tank test, and well, I am a man of my words. I'm doing a ultimate tank test. Now, the Hell was in some trouble a couple times by now. I actually thought that the Hell might die, but somehow the Hell survived. I don't know how. I don't know how. The passive shield regeneration is just something else on these ships. It got to about 15% shield. I also ran out of fuel on the Hell, and it didn't die. It still has no fuel. Basically, the command burst modules on the Hell are offline, but that thing is still alive, and it managed to recover a lot of shield since it had like 15%. It reached like 15% and it just stopped going down. That's the magic of the passive shield regeneration that these monsters can have. So definitely can take advantage of the 4th rig and do a mix between tank, active tank. You can also combine active tanking and passive tanking. You can easily do that on these ships. Basically add a lot of shields, which will improve the passive regeneration even more, and that way if you lose capacitor and if you lose the active tank, and if you even lose the command burst modules, you still have crazy passive regeneration, which can also act in an emergency to save your ship. So there is just so many different ways on how to make these things work, and I have to say, I spoke to a lot of my friends, some of them that don't really like capitals, and they were really surprised by how the Supercapitals work. They really liked them. A lot of them changed their minds about a lot of things since these ships came out, because they're just very unique ships. Now there are some downsides to Supercapitals. They are really expensive and costly to build. They cost a lot of materials. They also cost some ISK. The blueprint costs a lot as well. There's a lot of materials required, and of course they are not really solo ships, but they are fun. They are indeed very fun to fly ships, and I don't know, in my case, if I fly one, I mean, Titans are coming in very soon. Who knows? Perhaps I skip Supercarriers and I go with Titans. Everything is possible at this moment. Again, I promised you that I'll be recording Titans, and I will. In the same way that I recorded the Supercapitals, I'll be recording the Titans. That is going to be fun, for sure. And I think the area of effect Doomsday will help a lot with these annoying fighters. A fighter plus Supercarrier combo for these sites is definitely going to be something quite interesting that I'll be testing out. There's a lot of ideas that I have here, so I'll just try to save them for the right moment. 95 ships here. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the. I think this is the fun part. Yeah, it is. Okay. Seems like it is. 95 ships. The vast majority of those ships here are fighters. Now, thankfully, if the Hell was focused down by this amount of DPS, I don't know. I actually think that the Hell wouldn't survive the DPS of these ships right now. But they're focusing on the Wyvern, which works so far. Now, the primary targets when you start to do these anomalies should be the Force Auxiliaries. The Force Auxiliaries will repair the enemy by a lot, and you are not going to be able to out DPS them that easily. That is if you are in a smaller fleet. So the capital logis should definitely be your primary target. Now here is the moment where I found out that I'm not going to have enough fuel to keep up, and well, I decided to float back 105 kilometers to the entry, And basically, while floating back to the entry, I will keep on shooting at the ships. I'm not stopping shooting, by the way. And we will be clearing the wave. Well, I'm going to be clearing the wave. I'm piloting both the Hell and the Wyvern at the moment, so technically, it's both ships are me at the moment. So I'm going to be clearing this
Fleet
wave, and after I clear
fire.
this wave, the next wave is going to be, I would say, the largest. Now, I'm fairly sure that there is more beyond this gate here, and you can't jump unless you clear everything. So since I'm not going to be able to clear everything, I need more fuel, and basically that's the main issue here, the fuel. I lack fuel, and I wasted all the fuel with that high slot module that does help a lot at clearing stuff. I mean, it reduces the defense of the target by 45%, which improves your DPS by a lot. So very nice idea to have that module on your ship. The downside is that it eats a lot of fuel, so you are not going to be able to use it constantly, basically. But it didn't wasn't that bad actually. Mostly because I was using the bad fuel source. That's my fault, because I wasn't able to spawn plasmoids for some reason. Although was still a surprisingly effective run so far. Now the Wyvern is faster, and I'm trying to spearhead with the. I mean, the Hell is faster, but I'm trying to spearhead with the Wyvern so that the Wyvern keeps the aggro. I definitely don't want to lose that Hell right now, because I have plans for it later on. It would be bad if I would lose the ship. That Hell survived my previous tests. That's the only surviving Supercapital from my previous tests. All the other Supercapitals were destroyed. Of course, I destroyed them, but the Hell somehow survived. Not really sure how, but I guess that's just the magic of the rusty ships. So, still focusing on the carriers, on the big ships. Now, if you were to focus down on the fighters, you would kill them, but the carriers would just spawn more of them. And I don't know how many of them they have. I think they have unlimited carriers, unlimited fighters. So the best option really is just to focus down
We're under attack.
the carriers and to try and ignore the fighters. But I have to admit, the fighters are the most annoying part about this are the fighters. There's just way too many of them. Way too many of them floating around. I mean, just look at this. There's like 90 ships and like 80 are fighters. And each fighter has 12. Each fighter squad has 12 ships. 6 to 12 ships, because some of them aren't full, because I shot at them.
Attack.
Well, the Hell did a fantastic job at mowing down the smaller targets.
We're under attack.
And the Wyvern did a fantastic job with mowing down the big targets.
Attack.
Now the question that I asked myself was I able to actually complete this with a DPS build? Well, the answer to that would be no. If I were in a DPS build, I would be dead. That's a fact. Tank, you need a good tank for the capital side, because the tank of the Wyvern is slowly going down, and this ship is built for full-on resistance and full-on tank. So all of these ships are technically capable of going through my tank. Now the toughest part of the tank is going to be when we hit peak shield recharge. Now it's definitely, I would say, not the ideal build I still have a lot
We're
of
under attack.
combinations to test out, but this build basically focuses on resistance, on shield resistance, but you also can do
We're under
the same
attack.
combination, but instead of having shield booster performance, you can add shield volume, and then
We're
you
under
sacrifice active shield booster performance, but you gain passive shield regeneration. That's
We're
going
under
to
attack.
have a big impact on peak shield recharge when the shield is getting low. So that's also one of the ways how you can approach the build on the Wyvern. As for the
We're under
other
attack.
combinations, well, there's also some DPS combinations. It doesn't have to be integrations necessarily, but since these ships already cost so much, integrations are basically cheap compared to the whole price of the ship. So you can easily go with the integrations on this ship. Might look
We're
expensive,
under attack.
but if you look at the whole price, it's not going to be that much. Which, you know, for some of the other ships I can understand, because some of the other ships are, let's say, very cheap compared to the integrations, especially the high tier integrations.
We're under
But since
attack.
this is a Supercapital and a ship that you definitely do not want to lose,
We're under
you
attack.
would like to make sure that it has the best build possible. So integration is definitely a valid option
We're
for
under
the
attack.
Supercapitals. Now, I forgot to mention that since this is technically a Nihilus system, it does have a impact on capacitor recharge. Basically, it
We're
has a
under attack.
50% slower capacitor recharge debuff, which means that your capacitor performance is not
We're
going to be the
under
best by
attack.
default if you enter the site. So again, that just makes the cover module
We're under
even more
attack.
important, and it makes teamwork also very important, and a capacitor battery or two might be a good idea.
We're under
Although in my
attack.
case, one capacitor battery seems to be doing really well. The Wyvern has capacitor rigs, 4 of them, so the recharge rate and volume of the
We're under
capacitor is
attack.
pretty good, but since it already has the debuff, that might be a problem, and the debuff is basically one of the main reasons why my capacitor is low. But the capacitor is holding out really well so far, and
Fleet
the
collecting
boosters
fire.
are on. I do turn them on and off occasionally because there is no need for them to run constantly at all time, basically.
We're under
But
attack.
so far, the Wyvern is slowly going on, but surprisingly, the Hell is doing really
We're
well. The
under
Hell
attack.
isn't taking a lot of damage. They are not shooting at the Hell; they are mostly firing at the Wyvern, which
We're
is
under
basically
attack.
the thing that I wanted to happen, so that, you know, the Wyvern does absorb most of the damage.
We're under attack.
And we have 86 hostile ships.
We're under
And so far,
attack.
I mean, I can't really complain because this is something that you should not do with 2 ships anyway. So I'm pretty happy with what I shoot here.
We're under attack.
And I have 56 kilometers to float to the gate,
We're
which is
under
not a big deal.
attack.
The web debuff that you get from the roll balls is fantastic. Means even if
Fleet
you get
collecting
like 70
fire.
ships, you can still float at nearly full speed, which is honestly not a big problem. I didn't realize that they nerfed dreadnoughts. Now the dreadnoughts lost that 900% extra mass in siege, so now you can ram them a lot easier, and the the mass bonus is gone, which you know is something that I haven't noticed, but now I noticed it, and
We're under
very
attack.
important change that I forgot to mention. Very important change that I completely missed, honestly. So don't get caught with a dreadnought outside of the jumping distance, because they can ram you now. And even if you
We're
go into
under
siege mode,
attack.
you are going to be a sitting duck with the dreadnought.
We're under attack.
Good that I noticed that on time. Would have been could have allowed for some very bad moments. But now I know, and now I know what to expect from the siege mode.
We're under attack.
Okay, well, I think these are the last. Actually, no, there's a lot. Two capitals left, and let's fast forward into a new wave. This is the moment where I reached the gate here, and there is 128 plus ships here. The last wave will spawn 3 force auxiliaries, and there is that Wyvern, the main boss of the room. And well, you already guessed, the vast majority of the
Fleet collecting
hostile
fire.
ships here are fighters. There is approximately 400 ships on the field. I say 400 because when you look at the fighter squad, you can see like 12 of them, and there is 100 of them, so maybe even thousands of ships floating around here. I don't know. There's a lot of boats running around here. So the tank of the Wyvern is now definitely going down. The Hell is keeping up pretty good. The Hell didn't have
Fleet collecting fire.
a lot of issues with the tank. That thing is actually, it did have issues with the tank, but they're not shooting at the Hell right now. If they were shooting at the Hell, things would be very dangerous for it, because the Wyvern seems to have issues tanking all of this DPS at the moment. Now, if I had the yellow hardener, I would be able to tank this easily. And this is, you know, the thing that's... Perhaps I made a mistake when I
Fleet
built this. I just
collecting
wanted to
fire.
have a bit more DPS, just so that I can clear this a bit faster. But now when I look at it, I should have picked a yellow hardener, so the Wyvern with the yellow hardener would be able
We're
to
under
tank
attack.
even more, because the yellow hardener would give me a bit more tank. So technically, with the yellow hardener, I might have been able to tank this even more. Now the Hell is going to jump in the next couple minutes, because I want all of the ships to shoot at the Wyvern. Currently, maybe
We're
like
under attack.
70-80% of ships are shooting at the Wyvern, 20% are shooting at the Hell. I mean, you can see that the Hell is definitely taking a lot of aggro from all of these fighters. But when the Hell jumps out, then the Wyvern will take most of
We're
the...
under attack.
Well, I say most. Will take 100% of the DPS. So it will be shot by over 120 ships, or if we count every single fighter model in the
We're under attack.
in the grid here, it's probably, I don't know, like 800 ships
We're
or something,
under attack.
counting every single fighter. And that's honestly a lot of boats running around, and a lot of DPS.
We're
Now,
under attack.
since this is the part where I'm going to keep all the modules active, and it means the cover module will also be
We're
active to
under
supply the ship for with capacitor for as long as possible.
We're
I also have the
under
capacitor battery,
attack.
which will be actively used, and this is going to be Wyvern on the limits, basically pushed to the limits with the current build. I could probably make this ship
We're
even
under
tankier, and I
attack.
probably will do that for some of the next videos, We'll probably do the same thing with some of the other Supercapitals. I have a lot of
We're
ideas that I
under
want to do,
attack.
so with different types of these
We're under
new
attack.
Supercapital sites. Now the first Wyvern in the first room was very easy to kill. This Wyvern here is a whole different
We're
story.
under attack.
That thing tanks, and I mean it tanks a lot. They also have that emergency damage control, which gives them extra hull resistance. So if you notice that your damage drops on hull, that's the reason why. But so far, I mean, the game doesn't even the
We're
game
under
can't keep up
attack.
with the DPS numbers. The DPS numbers are delayed actually. That's not the DPS that I'm getting in real time here. That's just how many things are happening at once. It's
We're
unbelievable.
under attack.
And the shield is slowly fading away, 36%. The hell is still there. The hell will be jumping in the next couple moments.
We're under attack.
The capacitor, once the cover module is up and running, is basically going to be stable, and you will notice the capacitor going up. Now the capacitor is actually stable at about 71 to 80%
We're under
with the
attack.
cover module active. This is with one capacitor battery. That cover module is such a fantastic module to have on these ships. It's so useful. It does replace
We're
a
under
lot of
attack.
capacitor batteries. The only thing you have to have is fuel. It does use a bit more fuel than
We're under attack.
the other command burst modules, but it is literally keeping the ship alive and supplied with capacitor. As long as you have capacitor,
We're
you will
under
have
attack.
shield or armor. Now with armor, it's actually a lot easier to tank because
We're under
armor repairs use a lot less capacitor. But I'm not really sure how the Eon will do. I will have to test it out honestly. It
We're
will be very
under
fun to see how the
attack.
Eon will perform in one of these testing these capital
under
super capital sites,
attack.
because this is the real tank test. Basically putting the ship to the limit, and this is the current maximum. Now I think that
We're
I
under
jumped out. No,
attack.
I didn't. There is the hell still there. The hell is for some reason away from the gate, which
We're
can
under
be
attack.
dangerous. So the hell is currently approaching. Will be within jumping range in a couple moments.
We're
I'm still
under
focusing
attack.
fire on the Wyvern there. Well, my Wyvern is also getting focused, so both Wyverns are getting set on fire here at the moment. There is no logistic
Shield damaged.
ships on the enemy team there. I say enemy team, well,
Shield
enemy
damaged.
blob in this case, literally a blob of ships. And that thing is tanking really well. That thing is
Shield
really
damaged.
tanking. And both of the Wyverns are slowly
damaged.
going down. Where is the hell? I think the hell, there it is. Okay, there is the hell. Still there.
We're under attack.
Won't be there for long though. That thing is jumping out very soon. Shield 29%. The alert,
We're
low
under
shield alert
attack.
kicked in. That's never a good sign, but this is basically what
We're under
I want to
attack.
test out here. Okay, cover module is running now at all times. I have 63 cycles left.
We're under
Capacitor at
attack.
44%. It's going to go up slowly. Capacitor battery on cooldown. Both boosters up and
We're
running.
under
Everything is up
attack.
and running. Shield 28%. Peak recharge has been reached.
We're under
And the
attack.
shield recharge and boosters still are not going to be able
We're under
to
attack.
keep up with the incoming DPS. It's 28%, but it is going down very, very slowly. You might be thinking that it's going to be stable at
We're
28%.
under
Well,
attack.
I think not. It's going down, still going down, 27%.
We're under attack.
And this is still with not all of the ships shooting at me. When the hell jumps out, then all of them will be focusing fire. The hell jumped out, and now this is the moment where all of the enemy ships will be focused on the hell. Now I'll be taking full DPS from 125 ships. Or if we count every single fighter individually, then probably from 800 ships or something like that. Which is a lot of ships. And you can definitely notice that the shield started to go down much faster now. It is tanking really well, and it's still really tanky. I mean, one of the tankiest bricks that I've ever used, but it looks like this brick is not going to be able to withstand this this tank test. The capacitor batteries are running. I mean the ship boosters are running, but they are not doing a good job. Or should I say they're doing a fantastic job? I don't know. It's kind of a weird, I guess a weird topic, because I'm very impressed by the amount of DPS that this thing can handle, but at the same time I feel like I can do better. Now I'm not using any weird module that's not available on the live server. I use exactly the same C-type stuff that I would use. I use the same normal T1 capital rigs. I use the normal integrations that you have. Nothing special, you know. And this is basically the peak performance, the peak tank that you can get out of this thing. 74 million hit points, 91, 94, 91, and 95, and even with over 90% resistance, the tank is getting broken slowly. 20%, 21%, okay. Perhaps the recharge is going to level it out now. I don't know, we will find out. 20%, okay, might actually be holding out at 20%.
We're under attack.
Oh, well, I spoke too soon. 19, 20%. It's there. This is probably peak recharge now. 20% again. 19, 20%. Both boosters running. Capacitor battery will be activated very soon. 19%. Yeah, it's still going down. 18%.
We're under attack.
Capacitor battery running. Now the capacitor is actually really good in this thing. The capacitor is not a problem. If I were to change the rigs a little bit, would definitely help a lot. This is definitely what this current build can handle. This is the limit, basically, what you can expect. 125 ships from the Guristas pirate capital test site anomaly. That's and yeah, 16%. Now the Wyvern is going to.
We're under attack.
Yeah, 15%. We have lost peak recharge, and now the shield is slowly failing. And this will be the moment where you would want to warp out, to jump out. Definitely do not keep fighting with with a ship that's this damaged. I'm turning off the.
We're under attack.
Actually, I think I'll run one more cycle with the command bursts, and then after the next cycle ends, then I will jump out with the Wyvern. You can keep in mind that you can jump through the gate if you have the aggression timer and actually not aggression timer, the weapon timer. And the command bursts give those, so yeah, make sure that the command bursts are off before you jump through.
We're under attack.
12% shields, and it still has like 1,000,000 hit points, which is kind of hilarious actually.
We're under attack.
It still has a lot of shield. 91, 94, 92,
We're
95%
under attack.
resistance. 10%,
We're
11%
under
shield.
attack.
Yeah, will be time to get out, because
We're under
I
attack.
have other plans for this ship as well. We already destroyed the Wyvern. We already seen how one of
We're
these ships
under
explode.
attack.
I need this ship for some more videos that I will do. That I will
We're
do.
under attack.
10% shield left.
We're under attack.
9% shield left. 10%, 9%, and let's get out. Well, that was the limit of this build. Honestly, very tanky, but it can be better. It definitely can be much better. I think if I focus less on shield boost performance, and if I focus on passive recharge, that I can do
Shield
something a
damage.
bit better, and we'll definitely be playing around with a lot of different builds and different ideas that I come up with. But this was very fun to do, honestly. Hope that you guys enjoyed this. A bit different run with these ships. I've never done any of these sites so far. This is basically the first time, and honestly was very fun. So if you want to see more and if you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. It does help out a lot. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.